This video is brought to you by Titan Mattress. Finding the right mattress can be tough, especially if you need more support. I've had my Titan mattress for 2 weeks now, and the difference in my sleep has been incredible. Ordering was a breeze. It arrived on my doorstep quickly and in a compact carton that was easier to handle than a traditional mattress. Unrolling and unpacking was a snap. We barely had the wrapper off, and the mattress was at full size, ready to be made up. The Titan mattress gives me plenty of support while also being durable enough to hold its shape. The mattresses are designed to support any body type, especially the big, tall, and strong. I chose the Titan Plus Elite, a medium firm mattress, because I have back problems and I require the support. It's soft but doesn't get lumpy or uneven, and that difference was immediately noticeable. Now I get excited to go to bed. Titan mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their factory in Arizona. This means they're able to use premium materials at a reasonable price for you with no middleman bringing up the cost. Your mattress is delivered right to your door for free within the US. Titan mattresses have a limited lifetime warranty and they offer a 120-night sleep trial. I can't tell you how much I love my Titan mattress, and I think you would too. If you need something supportive that actually holds up, this is it. Check out titanmattress.com/CUPODCAST or scan the QR code and get 30% off your order with code CUPODCAST. I'll also add the link below. That's titanmattress.com/CUPODCAST.
Ian, at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo a week and a half ago, we had a panel there. You were very energetic.
Yeah, we did.
And we talked about a video that was recommended to me to watch that we watched and then discussed. Collectors hurt collecting. We ruined our hobbies. A sort of a analysis about how bad collectors are for video game collecting. So let's look at us discussing that now.
You want to talk about collecting, Ian? The retro gaming hobby of collecting that
Sure.
we know and love that we've been doing for almost 30 years, each of us?
Yeah. So we watched a video. You've got the person's name.
Yeah, so, on the algorithm, on the sideboard, you get random stuff recommended. And this was a video from Phil One Up Collects. He's a 39-year-old. He says that in the video. I thought he was in his 20s. He's looking great.
He does look pretty young.
And it's only a couple of thousand views. So I was like, oh, it's in the algorithm and they know I collect. So what Phil was talking about was how the hobby is today with the title, Collectors Hurt Collecting. We Ruined Our Hobbies. And I'm not going to, this isn't like a critique of the video itself. There's some things I agree with, there's some things I don't agree with. But it was interesting because we haven't really had this conversation in probably a while, something this direct. So there's a bunch of points we can go through, but let's start off with the first one. Collectors need to take responsibility for the state of the hobby. In terms of, so the lead up to this is Phil opining about, hey, look at all these there was mostly modern, but there was some older stuff thrown in, but it was mostly about like, hey, they're charging us so much for these special editions and we keep buying them, so they keep making them. And it's like this weird cycle and no one's actually playing this stuff. So Ian's had more experience than me with that modern stuff, especially working at Luna Video Games 2 locations with all these special editions that come in. People buy these Arkham,
Don't ever buy a special edition, by the way, expecting it to hold value. We put most special edition collectibles when I worked at Luna, we put them in the free bin.
The free bin. So Ian, what are your general thoughts on that point, just that, about...
Well, I'll start by saying I watched the video and I understand him where he's coming from. I do. Okay. I understand his feelings and all that. But it seems like every couple of years we have videos like this where everyone stumbles upon this sort of thing and feels like it's brand new. I feel like this is usually a response to someone realizing that, hey, I've gone too far with collecting. Well, this is not new information. It's not new anything. It's I think it's what happens when a person reaches a certain point and realizes things about themselves in collecting.
Well, this isn't a judgment about Phil, but in his video, he had shelves, walls of stuff,
including, admits it.
Yeah, including like rows of Switch games, like several rows of Switch games. What I'm in my head, I'm doing the pat math. It's like, well, these are not retro games; these are Switch games.
Sure.
That like these are $30, $40. Some of these $50. Like you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands just every row.
But to people buying games and to the idea of people buying games and not playing them, again though, I think this has been collecting for eternity. You are interested in something, so you buy things you're interested in with the idea that you're saving them for a rainy day, and that rainy day never comes, just a casket. And I think what I did see that with was things like Atlas games got very popular during the PS2, DS, 3DS era. People would buy those sealed, and I know they would do that with no intention of playing them. They were buying them as a future investment.
So we're talking like 15 years ago, they were saying we're investing in these for the future.
Yes. So, I mean, even back when I started at Luna in the late 2000s, you still had people who were looking at their hobby as a means to make money, not as a means to enjoy something.
And when that happens, that means that that's not going to be valuable in the future because too many people are thinking about it.
Right. As soon as someone has the notion, hey, I should be buying this and keeping it sealed because it's going to be worth something, they're generally ahead of you.
I'll buy that extra comic in '93 when everyone else is. I did that.
And I have that written down. What he's talking, no, that's okay. But what he's talking about, like I said, it seems to hit people in waves as they go through a collecting hobby. This is not new. This is something we saw. I have it down here. '90s with comics,
baseball cards,
etc.
'80s and '90s. Yeah.
And while I agree with him, he talks about how the corporations aren't going to stop doing this, so we have to. How do you police yourself? At what point then? Because he starts talking about, we have to come together, and there is no coming together. There's none of that. You're not going to change the nature of collecting.
Well, here's the thing. Not everyone collects for the same reason to begin with, so that it's not uniform. I did not read his notes, by the way. I don't think I can read his scrawl.
No one can.
You have collectors that get into it because they're uniquely interested in something that they're rediscovering or discovering for the first time. With video games, it's a little bit different as well because you can play these things you're collecting. You can't play some of the things you collect. Like people that collect toys nowadays, they're not playing with the toys. But the video games, there's a chance that they are. So that's a different thing. And then, of course, there are people that are getting into it just to make money, which to me isn't really collecting insofar as it's
just turning something into another investment.
So you can't police unless there's like, what are we policing? There's different types of people. Whoops, that's my bad. So one thing he said was, we just keep consuming and buying and consuming. Well, yes, that's how collector markets work, or else they die out. I mean, when you look at the rising of prices of anything, the only reason the prices rise is because more people have to be interested to buy it. That's how it is. So it's sort of part and parcel with collecting is that more interest, things go up in value. It's never more interest, things go down in price. That's not how it works. So it is what it is. So, but I see the point about if people weren't buying these weird special editions, they would probably stop making them. So I think what happened at some point is that these modern game players that said, oh, I want to play Modern Warfare 3, but at the same time, oh, I can get this one for $100 more that has these trinkets and stuff, and maybe that will be something in the future.
Right. They sneak you in, okay, you get the game to play, but hey, you can also buy this as maybe a little investment. It's going to be worth a shitload in the future.
That Star Trek Collector's Plate. That's what it's going to be. Everything is special edition or collector's edition, and that's the way it is. It's all about the upsell. I upsell my book covers. I have 3 different book covers. It's all the same content, just like buying a modern game.
I think maybe it's like a FOMO thing, like fear of missing out, or when you say like only 10 in stock, buy now before it's too late.
Well, FOMO is a big part of collecting.
Let's see. Artificial rarity, scalping, YouTuber clickbait videos, easier to look up pricing. I mean, that's just the way of the world the past 10 to 15 years is that, yeah. Especially with retro game collecting, because 15 years ago, there was no re-releases of these old games. There was no limited run putting out something. There was no Retrobit putting out a new Metal Storm, things like that, to capitalize on the rise of you okay? Keep yourself to the microphone.
I sure did.
To capitalize on the rise of the collector's market, it always will lag behind. They're always like, oh, these nerds are collecting these old games. Now we'll put out new stuff they can buy. Not just so a modern company can make money off it by producing something new. That's just the way our society works in general when it comes to these things.
Well, I think especially the U.S. market. I talked about it on the podcast at one point, but we live in a treat economy. The problem is
our treats.
We like our treats, and it's not just collecting; it's in all areas of life. So you're not going to change collecting in a country where we are already revolving our life around the acquisition of tiny treats to keep us happy.
Yes, and we are more spread out than Europe or Japan, so we have a lot more space or in our domicile. We have basements, we have like big attics, we have big dens. In Europe, that's not nearly a thing like us, for example. If you live in one of those like old style, old world cities that were built, 1,000 years ago, you're lucky to have like an apartment and a little bit of space. So if we were all living in cramped spaces, there's no way there'd be a collector's market for a lot of this stuff, for vinyl, for comics, for video games. Like you could not have there's probably like a lot of people in this room just have a dedicated room for just games.
Yeah, it's not something you can do in a lot of other places.
That's a first world U.S. thing, North America thing. That's not a lot of parts of the world.
Well, I think people get these rooms and then they notice there's empty space, so they've got to fill it, so they buy more stuff,
Yeah.
and then suddenly they need another room.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, Phil's video comes out across, and this is not a knock on him, but I think every collector has this moment of realization and panic that they are just buying and buying and buying, and they have become what they don't want to become. So they have this realization, they put out a video for it, but I feel like it's almost projection. It's kind of a cry for help sort of thing.
Well,
I don't mean it as seriously as that, but I think
Phil realizes that
yes.
he is part of this. Like we're all part of the same system.
But
we're all involved with it.
He talks about people coming together, and what I've noticed is this is just a mindset that most people don't have until they go too far, and then they realize it.
That we all have gone too far in a way.
Yes.
Maybe. Gotcha. He said something about magic cards. I don't know much about that market. I don't know if you want to comment on that. But he said we just keep consuming monthly game pickups, comics, action figures. People choosing to go financially broke.
Welcome to the resistance, man. I don't know.
we live in a very not just consumer driven. Every capitalist society is consumer driven, but disposable consumerism, where we're buying things and replacing them constantly.
I buy a Tamagotchi every year.
You're part of the problem.
I know.
So what I'm going to say to that is, I always talk about this, that nothing's a problem until it's affecting other parts of your life. So I don't care how much you're spending on whatever you're doing. You're collecting baseball cards, Tamagotchis. It's fine. As long as it's not like bleeding into things that matter, like making your rent or,
bleary-eyed trying to crack a Tamagotchi on the side of a pan because I have no food in my fridge.
Yeah. So that's fine. And that's just the way it works. We make things, companies make things, we buy them, that's our economy. That's the way it is. Then he says, we care more about the value than anything else. Well, that's subjective. That's more about the individual.
That is something that seems like, again, that's more of and again, I think he's realizing things, but that sounds like projection.
Yeah, so that comes down to, why are you getting into collecting? Like, if you were collecting this stuff on the cusp of anyone caring about it, like Ian and I, like the value didn't matter. It's just like we're buying this anti-drug NES game with a cute little bear.
Whoa, the bear.
Like that's not, when you're reading TSR's NES archive in like 97.
This is the second time it's come up in 2 panels.
Okay.
Because I brought it up in the last one.
The point is that the value, depending on what part of the development of the hobby, the value is always trailing behind the general interest, the general, like, hey, let's figure out what's even out there, then get it, and then see what, you know what I mean? When you're still compiling like an archive of things that exist, like the value is so not there. It doesn't matter yet.
Well, until you have a more full data set, you can't,
You're developing the structure of the hobby, the value doesn't matter at all. It's only until other people realize, oh, this thing is rarer than this, or this is a variant of this, I want to get that thing and it's hard to get, then the value comes into play. With any hobby, that's how it works.
I think one of the best things you can do, and you got to look at some of this stuff to not come away feeling negative after a video like this, is there are ways to collect that are less stressful, that are going to, not involve you spending all of your money and things like that. And I always tell people the best thing to do if you feel like you're collecting too much is, one, sell off some stuff. You're going to feel amazing after you sell off some stuff. Just do it. Just pick something. Don't think about it. Get rid of it. It's not that important. You'll feel better. 2, if you like the act of collecting, just find something hyper-specific and hyper-focused. I'm going to collect all of these games by this company, instead of I'm going to get the entire set of something.
Didn't I tell you a couple years ago I was thinking about getting the entire Chase HQ set of games across
Yes,
the
and I told
console.
you that was cool because I like really
it's a weird little
hyper-specific
series.
collections.
Yeah.
When my collecting started to get weird, I sold off a bunch of stuff and was like, I'll just buy like Mahjong games and black and white Game Boy games. And suddenly, you still have that fun of the hunt, but you're not just amassing piles of shit.
Why are you looking like that, Ian? I don't know. I'm not comfortable. This is something that Phil said. Buying addiction has changed the market. Hoarders and scalpers. This goes to, again, back to the development of, we'll say, a commerce, economy of these hobbies. Is that once people realize they can make money, they're going to try to make money. That's just how we work.
Yeah, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. There's no going back to the good old days where we all got our games for $5 and talked about how Mega Man 2 was cool online.
I mean, I saw the development at the flea market when you had the guys that were selling either just books, they're selling CDs and music. They're seeing the few collectors buying these games.
And then all of a sudden, the next week you go and it's all Nintendo games, all at twice the
and
price.
then no one else has anything I can buy because they're going around and buying because they realize, oh, I can get into this because they realize they can make money. I mean, yeah, you said the toothpaste isn't going back in. I tried to do that one time. Yeah, it's not going to work.
It doesn't. Well,
Does he need like a squeegee thing? I don't know. So then he said, talking about hoarders and scalpers. Well, scalping is entirely different. That's for new products, and we've talked about that before. How that's just
well, it did seem kind of like at that point it just kind of turned into a collection of grievances.
Well, yes, we like Phil, and then hoarding. Hell, without hoarding, there's not a lot of collecting. I hate to say it. Like that's part of how it works. No one is utilizing every single thing they collect. The person that owns 75,000 comics has read maybe 10% of them. Like at most. Like that's just the way it is. You consume things when they first were released, not 50 years later. That's
I've
just how
raised every Tamagotchi from a beautiful baby to a young, thriving adult. Everyone.
Until you forgot to feed them one time, and then you turn on, they're dead. Is that how it works?
Well, then you start all over again.
Okay. You're a brutal Tamagotchi.
So I got the new Tamagotchi. I just got to tell you, it's very strange. So
turn this into a Tamagotchi.
When you flush it, sometimes the poop is brown, but sometimes the poop is gold. And you can imagine my face when the first time I flushed the poop on this Tamagotchi. You collect the golden poops in a bin that even has a ventilation fan on the top. I don't know why yet. There's a meter I have to fill up.
Okay, back to Phil.
Anyways, Phil.
So this is where I like what he's talking about. Accountability for buying too much. We need to enjoy more of life. So the one thing you talked about before with having like, hey, I'll collect a little niche. You didn't say the B word with collecting a budget. I think a lot of people, even if they just said, oh, I'm only going to spend $200 a month or $300 a month on this hobby. That's what I can afford, just to make sure they don't get out of line.
Cocaine. That's a hobby, right?
Did you realize my thought? I had something like
I'm good at
salient
that.
to say.
That's why you keep me around.
I guess so. I'm guessing that's why. I'm trying to think right now. What was I going to say? I was going to say about the budget. Okay.
Budget.
Just having even if you have a budget in your head, it gives you even a modicum of discipline. Where it's
Good word. I love modicum.
Thank you, Ian. I'm a writer. It gives you a little bit of discipline.
I can tell with those $5 words.
A little bit of discipline that when you're searching, say, a convention, you're not just going up willy-nilly like that one and just spending more before you realize, oh, God, I spent money that was supposed to go towards a birthday present for someone or towards, a new Tamagotchi for Ian. For
My
his birthday.
dialysis.
Your dialysis.
I don't actually have, but yes, all those things.
Discipline. That's a large part.
I have none of it.
Apparently not during this conversation. You're running me over constantly. And you need to enjoy more of life. I mean, yes, that's we have to. We have to touch grass, as the kids say, as the Zoomers say. This is things we've directly said before on the podcast multiple times. Phil said, consuming is replacing a hole or depression, etc. And like you said, when Phil said that, I said to myself, is Phil figuring that out for the first time now? And he's sort of like in his head going back, wow, have I been buying some of this stuff because maybe there's something inside that I don't like or there's lacking. And again, that's not a shot at Phil. That's everyone that goes too far with anything in their life. Any collecting hobby, whether you're addicted to a substance, whether you're gambling, things like that. There's usually something you're thinking about where it's like, oh, okay, something else. I'm not happy about something else, and this is just like you're putting a shellacking over it. That's what you're doing with buying things.
I keep telling people that in my 40s I've been turning into a hobbies man, and it's because hobbies are the only way to not feel like crap in the current climate. But you do have to be careful that the hobbies are not just becoming everything.
And buying too much.
And buying too much and pushing other things out of the way that you really need to kind of focus on.
You're buying too much model trains, and you're doing too much mountains and tunnels for your set.
I'm going to become a model trains man so hardcore when I move. It's going to be amazing.
You're going to have a nice setup.
I am.
You're gonna send me updates on the phone. Hey Pat, I colored this little waterfall over here.
I can do that now if you want. I can show you my little robots and just hobbies guy. But
Okay.
trains are coming.
Yeah. So again, take a step back. Sometimes this is for anything. I eat too much brownies sometimes, and I think, oh, there's something else going on, Pat.
No such
You
thing.
did not need to buy an extra sheet of brownies. All right.
It wasn't the brownies you ate too much of. It was whatever else you ate you didn't need. The brownies were fine.
This is an attack on me now. You know something
No.
about my eating habits I don't know about? What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying,
In
like,
general,
you're
in
looking
general.
at it wrong. The
Okay.
brownies are fine. It
Okay.
was the other things that you consumed that were
Okay.
the excess calories. The brownies were the required calories.
Oh, so that's really should be my breakfast and lunch there.
Yes.
Then a sensible dinner is what you're
Just
saying.
put a couple slices of ham, fold it over.
That's so nasty. You pressed ham on brownies. All right, we're
Apply the ribbons before baking so it crisps up nicely on top.
I love performative panel Ian, by the way, because he never has this energy on the podcast, or rarely, but he gets pumped up. I love it.
I do enjoy the
We should,
live podcast.
we should just do a traveling tour of this. We
Yeah.
should do that. We'll book like 20 people in each city. Yeah, they come out.
Yeah.
You get a free sandwich and a little box lunch when you come see us.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. I could make the box.
All right,
too.
we gotta get through this, Ian. We gotta get through this.
We didn't?
Phil has a massive Switch backlog. He shows his shelf. Again, goes to like, hey, realization that, hey, I'm buying these Switch games to collect, and there's several shelves of these at some point. What am I doing? We all have that. Industry would change if people bought less. Yes, there'd be a smaller industry. I mean, that's just how the industries work.
Right.
It's one of those things where, do you begrudge the industry for some of these things growing? Without the rise of collecting, for example, and people wanting to experience these games more, you wouldn't have companies like Analog making these FPGA consoles, because not enough people would care enough to buy them. So like, all these things go together at some level, where if you have more interest in general from the lay person, we'll just say, or the hobbyists, you have companies come in to try to fill these holes in the market where they don't exist. Phil, not our Phil.
Phil. Yeah, that was funny.
They laughed. Ian.
They loved it.
They loved that one. You said let kids be kids. I forgot what that was in relation to.
So he was talking about, and I do think there is some merit to this, but because Vonnie talks about it all the time when it comes to Pokemon cards at work, and you have people who come in and try to buy all of them that are adults, and they're going to flip them or open them, and then
Oh, that's right. That's what I'm talking
slap
about.
their cards, and then and Bonnie says it happens all the time. Kid comes in with their parents midday, looks for Pokemon cards. There's none there for him. I do think he has at 39, slightly rose tinted glasses though about how it was back then, because there still were toy collectors.
They were in the 90s, yes.
They're still
by
in
the,
the
by
90s.
the early 90s, there were toy collectors buying new things.
He let a little
Yes.
bit of misty-eyed nostalgia get in the way, but because it was bad in the 90s too.
Yeah, I never forget this. When they first came out with the
Star Wars.
The Power of the Force, the 95, before that.
Yep.
Even before that, the starting lineup hockey figures come out. Even the starting lineup figures in the late 80s, early 90s, were sports collectors were buying them up.
Yes.
Brand new. But when the hockey ones came out, that was like 93, and I love my Brian Leach Rangers. Let's go Rangers. That's right. Cheap pop. They advertised them for being for sale that Sunday. I'll never forget this, at KB toy stores. There were two different KBs in the local mall. And me and my dad said, we're going to get there. We're not going to get there right when it opens. We got there like 20 minutes after it opened. And the adults were just going, and no Brian Leach. There was like a couple of little guys left no one cared about. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. This
Do you
is a
have any
thing.
starting lineups now?
Brian Leach started.
Okay, you have that one.
I don't know. But so yeah, this goes back. People were buying stuff new. I mean, they were buying stuff new even in the '80s, but they weren't thinking about it as much as the '90s.
They were doing
Like
it with
Tom
Death
Mc-
of Superman black bags. They were doing it with
the Todd McFarlane Spawn figures.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing when those came out for collectors. My cousin was getting all of them. The Malbogia, big one, and all the Angela variant where the panties are a different color. I'm not even making that up. That was a thing back then. You remember that?
No.
Okay, I remember.
I don't.
That was the thing when you were 13. Anyway, so
I was 13 once.
I guess so.
I don't remember it.
Then finally, we cannot stop the greedy corporations from being greedy. Well, I mean, I guess it is what it is. I mean, we can't.
We can't.
So I guess what it comes down to.
He donned a Luigi hat after the video,
So,
turned around and walked out.
I guess
silently.
This is a good video. Great conversation starter. Thank you, Phil, One Up Collects, for bringing this to us because it's a nice conversation to have, especially with all of you out there. And I'll just say this: the one thing I'm massively diametrically opposed to is that this whole we have to come together thing. It's all about personal responsibility when it comes to a topic like this. It's like, hey, you cannot force someone else not to overspend, but you can control what you are doing yourself.
Right.
So I knew of someone back in the, I think, late 2000s that said to themselves, out of nowhere, oh, I really like Nintendo Game & Watches. And they bought a few. Then they bought more. And they bought more. I'm talking within 7 months or so, they had over 100 of them.
And they were not cheap at that
They weren't
point
cheap
in
then
time.
either.
No.
There were still ones that were hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I had the Mickey Mouse panorama one that was like 300 bucks.
So, and this person, they weren't destitute, but it's I'm thinking to myself, I don't think you should be spending this amount of money on this stuff. You're not in that place where this is disposable income. And it is, and I never said it like that, but I felt saying, I think I did say, do you want to take a step back and realize what you're doing? You jumped in full, I'm going to get them all. I'm going to get them all within a year.
The other thing I think is you just got to think about the cost per what you get out of it. I wanted to collect Game & Watches at one point, and if they had all been between 50 and 100 bucks, maybe I would have. But once you start seeing these things go for 300, even if you're just putting it on the shelf, it's that is not $300 worth of good times right there.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with video games, but yeah, Game & Watch is something that was so particular, even then, even now, that it was just a strange thing to see someone do that didn't really show. That person probably had one or two as a kid, and didn't think about Game & Watches for 25 years. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to buy them all. And it's that's something else. Could be an obsessive compulsive thing, that could be something else where it's take a step back, you're dishing out thousands of dollars on this stuff that you might regret a year. And I think they ended up selling a bunch of it too.
Probably.
And then probably not, whenever you sell the things off, you're almost never going to recoup, especially if you're doing it quickly.
Oh yeah, no, you never will. Because if you're selling them off that quickly, you realize you've made a mistake, and then you don't have the time to wait for the best offer.
Yes, you're just I need the cash now. I'm going to make rent.
Take the worst offer.
Well, this person might be.
Can I set up an auction like that? I want the worst offer.
You want negative? I pay you to take this from me. I'll probably do that with some of my games. All right, well, check out the video. I'll link it on YouTube. You guys aren't on YouTube, but you technically are. You're part of a YouTube video now. Out in the audience.
Yay.
Yeah. They won't be commenting on you, though. Just me and Ian and our hair and how we look.
And we're back. So I think you made some salient points, Ian.
I think you made some, real solid
nuggets of truth there, little truth bombs. So check out Phil One Up Collects video if you want. I'll link it below. And I'm sure we're not at the end of having discussions about how collectors ruin the very hobbies they claim to love.
I feel like that's an eternal conversation.
Yes, it is.